Hello, soul sister. Welcome to another episode of Midlife Love Out Loud. I've got Alicia Davon in the house. Yay, Alicia.
Great to be here.
So good to have you here. I'm so excited because Alicia, along with her husband, Erwan, has become the go-to experts for those seeking a higher level of relationship. And they've been doing this since 2013. And Alicia specializes in supporting singles into getting into passionate and successful relationships, which is what you want, right, soul sister? And they also help couples take their relationship to new heights of romance and intimacy. And that's why I wanted you on this podcast today, Alicia, because it's not just about getting into relationships and having it, work to be able to figure out the whole single world, but it's also about maintaining it and having romance and intimacy and fun. So I know you're going to share some golden nuggets with us. And again, thanks for slicing out some time with us today.
Sure.
So I would actually love to start. I just love when I hear that somebody's coupled and they've been together a long time and now they're doing this kind of work. How, give us a little insight into the journey of what brought you to this type of work with Erwan.
Well, for as long as I can remember, I have been obsessed with relationships. I was like the little girl in whatever it was, fourth grade, that had a crush. I had a crush on my neighbor who lived 2 doors down, Chris, and we would sit in his bedroom and play Nintendo. And I'd be like, I love you. And
I love you. I love that. I love
you. Passing notes in high school and just listening to all my friends' stuff and my stuff and boys and relationships. So it was always a huge focus of my attention. And I went to college and studied psychology. And then I got into therapy myself and then decided, as I think a lot of people do when they experience therapy, like, wow, I got so much out of this. I want to help people have this too. And so I went into graduate school in the early 2000s and got my master's in psychology, and I was training to be a therapist. And I can still remember I was in this really cool graduate school. It was holistic studies here up in the Bay Area, and we were studying spirituality and psychology. And then there was like a little bit of sexuality, and I was like, ooh, and I got really interested in female sexuality and relationships and psychology. And I was like holed up in the library trying to find anything modern about this whole topic, and I couldn't find very much. And then one day, a woman in my program named Shayna, who I'm still very close with to this day, I mean, this was 20 years ago, right? She says, Alicia, you should meet this guy, Erwan. He has this organization and teaches these courses about love and intimacy and relationships, and you love this guy. I'm like, take me to this guy. Who is this guy? So she
take me to this guy.
And I was in another relationship at the time, and it was sort of starting to go downhill, and I was a little bored, and it was like, okay, I was ready for a new game. And I still remember when she brought me over to his house, he was teaching in his apartment in San Francisco, a communications game night, where a bunch of people were there and kind of doing these cool communication games to get to know each other better. And I walked into his apartment, and it was like crossing the threshold of his front door was walking into another world. And I felt like, that feeling, nobody was on drugs in this situation, but you sort of come on to a good feeling walking into the room. Wow. And people were connecting and talking. And then I saw Erwan. I'm like, oh my God, he's so cute. And anyways, long story short, we started dating. And then a few months into dating, I said to him, well, when are you going to let me visit one of your courses that you teach? And he said, oh, what about this weekend? We have one. So he had me visit, but I wasn't just a bystander. He actually put me into the course as a participant. So I spent the whole weekend like delving into my relationship patterns and crying and laughing and connecting with people. And by the end of the weekend, I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, can I join your organization? I know I'm your girlfriend, but
wow.
So That was 20 years ago when we started really being together and also working together. And then ever since, we've been growing our organization and our community, and we're married and we have a child and all of that. But we work with
That's
both singles and couples.
amazing. I love that. I love that story. And what I love is you both had such a similar desire around relationship, came at it in different ways, and then found a way together to bring this work out there. Oh my God. And just the fact that you were his girlfriend and went to a course, and it was like, wow, I love that. What a great story.
Yeah.
What a great story. And I know that you have lots of golden nuggets around attracting somebody if you're single, and what successful love life actually is. So I would love to like dive into that. Like, well, what would you say is the secret to a successful love life? What's your take on that?
So there's a couple ways I'll answer this question. So the first way I'll answer the question is, it's very universal. Like, it can apply to women. I know mostly women are listening here, but it can apply to women, men, singles, couples. Being a person who is authentically interested in growing, developing, learning about yourself, and seeing what it is that's really driving you in relationship. But that's a big part of our work that we do, is the psychological piece.
Yeah.
Because as human beings, like, we think we're making kind of autonomous choices, but no, usually we're kind of being driven by patterns from our unconscious. And, of course, we can get to the point where we make autonomous choices, but in relationship, we can tend to be very reactive and play out the same things over and over again, right?
Yeah.
So
no one understands what that means at all. Reactive?
yeah, I know.
Playing things out from our past? What?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so common and normal, and there's nothing wrong with it. But
yeah,
if you are a person, or kind of can become a person that's interested in learning about that, about yourself, not to fix yourself, but to bring awareness.
Yeah.
That is really the secret. I mean, people come to us all the time that are single, and they're like, what's a good criteria? Like, what should I look for in a partner? Is it, looks? Is it money? Is it body type? Is it whatever? And of course, people have their preferences, but finding a person who's really willing to grow and being that person, that's like the real secret.
Yeah, it's gold. Yeah. Well, so here's another, like another question to that, which is tricky, because I'm, the women that listen to my podcast generally are in their 50s and 60s, give or take. And what I hear so often, and I see so often, are women doing that. Like, they're deep diving into personal growth and unpacking and looking at their patterns and doing the healing work. And I don't necessarily see the same dedication with men. I see men that would like to have healthy relationships. I see men that want to have healthy relationships, but I don't necessarily see that desire or hunger to dive in the way that you just described. What might you say to the single woman who's like, well, that sounds great, but I can't find anybody like that? What might you offer to her?
That's very common, especially in the age group demographic that you're talking about. I work with a lot of women in their 50s and 60s, and, for a variety of reasons, as women, we're kind of generally more naturally drawn to that sort of deep diving. And in our organization, we find that women come towards this work more than men, and kind of bring the men along. Yeah. Now, that's not universal, but that's like a generality. Okay, so this goes to my second secret. Remember, you asked what the secret is?
Yeah.
The personal growth and development, and really being authentically interested in that. Okay. But for women of any age, with any history or whatever, you as a woman, you are the attractive force in the relationship. You have so much power. And because of our past experiences and how we may have been raised, how the culture might be affecting us, we forget that. And sometimes we can approach relationships and we have leftover stuff and resentments or anger, or we have self-doubt, or we're just, weren't able to make it work with a past relationship partner or something. But you have so much say over it. For example, a man being interested in growth and development. There are many men, so many men, that may not be actively engaged in personal growth and development, but if you interact with them in an effective way about it, they will become interested in that. And it may not happen overnight, but we have so much power as women that I think we just aren't taught to use. And it's not like power over domination. It's unfair. The guy's disempowered. It's not that. It's like being your full lit up self and like, oh my gosh, and like, this is so fun. And hey, I really love, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Meditation or going to these romance classes, or, I love my therapist, and oh my gosh, do you like that? Ooh, are you interested in that? Ooh, hey,
exactly.
you want to like
Exactly.
read a chapter out of this book or watch this webinar, and you just do like bite-sized chunks. And, some men, there's not many, but some men, it's like not going to happen. It would just be so much work. But most men are so responsive to a woman who's not critical of them and kind of,
Exactly. It's not pushing, it's an invitation.
no.
And that's what Dr. John Gray said, because we were talking about this when I interviewed him a little while ago. And he was like, men may not, I said, where, women say, where are all the conscious men? And he's like, well, they've been conscious on building their businesses, conscious on their bank account. And then they come into a relationship, and that's where things start to unfold. And so I really just want to like honor the heck out of what you just said, because it's so like right on the money, like with what he said, what I see as well, which is when we know how to communicate it and we're lit up. I think that's so huge when we're lit up and they want to be with us. And
Yes.
there is that safe container, then it's like, oh, you want to do that, honey? Sure. And there's that interest and that excitement versus, you don't know how to do this,
Yes.
you need to take a class. And then
Yes.
it's like work, and then there's the shame, and then there's the criticism, and then they want out because it's like, oh, this is too much drama, this is too much work. So I love that it's a like kind of a pulling forward. It's like, yeah, this is something juicy. Let's do it. Would you want to? It's more of a playfulness, which is exciting. And then you grow together, which is like
Yes.
primo.
Yeah, men really want to succeed with women, and they really want us to be happy. And it's not like we need to be sugar and spice everything nice. It's more like, hey, let me, like send some good energy his way and tell him what I want. And then when he goes towards what I want, let him know I'm enjoying that. And it like, they're hardwired to respond to that. It's a good thing. It's not negative manipulation. It's a good thing. It's how it works.
Totally agree. Totally agree. So we're talking to a soul sister here who would like to meet somebody. Do you have any hot tips on how to attract that special someone?
Well, let me think about hot tips. I have many.
I bet you do.
The first piece, and it's funny because sometimes we don't like this part, or we kind of forget about this part, but you got to meet a lot of people. And obviously, the pandemic is whatever it is, winding down, as we say. Things are open, we'll see what happens. But right now, in most places, it's pretty normal to then go out and meet people in person. Numbers, getting out there, socializing in environments that light you up. So
yes.
Right. So whatever it is, if you love nature, maybe you go hiking with a group of people, you tell all of your friends either that are single or in a relationship, hey, I'm looking for someone, invite me to your dinner party or bring me out to this thing. You have to, some people have no problem with this, but some people kind of don't want to, you just want that I go to the grocery store and our eyes
Ta-da!
keys,
Yeah. Yeah.
Would be open to that.
And it can happen.
Open.
I was just talking to my group last night. I was like, put your phones down, ladies. You could be in line at the grocery store and there could be this really great guy in front of you, turns around and your head's down. You're not going to make eye contact. And he might be the person that you might want to go out with and meet. So yeah,
Yes,
I agree.
and
Yeah.
the key is what we like to call micro gestures. So it's not like, oh, you're going to be at the grocery store, at a friend's cocktail party, or at this art gallery opening or whatever, and like fall in love in an instant. But if you're available, you're present, you're feeling your body, and then you just catch someone's eye and you smile, you send a little energy, it's like you're not throwing yourself at the person, putting your heart right there on the chopping block to be demolished. You're just sending a little energy. And then if he returns that energy, okay, cool, there you go. You've just made a connection. Then the next step is like socializing, like, oh, hey, this is my favorite market, or hey, how do you know the host of the party, or oh, wow, I love this art. Just say something about what's happening in the environment, because people can feel a little bit awkward, like, ooh, I caught the person's eye, now we're talking, it's weird. Just say something about what you're both experiencing together. And then you kind of take it from there. I mean, there's a bunch of steps of flirting and that type of thing.
Sure.
But it really is just getting into that initial thing. And then, like I said before about the growth and development piece, it's really easy to start then talking about, well, what do you do for work? And can you believe the politics out there? And like, oh my God, I just had a hip replacement, or whatever it is. We talk about health stuff or work or politics. Be deliberate about talking about kind of fun stuff, whether it's a party you just went to, or this beautiful sunset you just saw, or something that's kind of in the realm of something that's going to open up the conversation.
Yeah, I love it because, so many they have their lists and they're on the lookout, and I'm looking for a person with this criteria, and it can be a slippery slope because then they start asking all those questions and it takes away from the playfulness and getting to know each other. Like, oh, have you checked out that sunset at that location? I was just there the other night. And then you get to see the personality. You get to connect heart to heart, soul to soul, versus, well, in the politics that I just read in the New York Times. And suddenly, I mean, yes, you're going to see personality and get to know them in a different way. And that definitely is important and it will come. And yet there's that simplicity of just being simple, like, the simplicity of being simple, to be able to just talk with somebody and connect with them in a light way, in a playful way. I love that. That's a great tip. That's a really great tip because people take it way too seriously, way too fast. And it's just a dinner or party. Have some fun. How do you know the guest? I mean, how do you know the host? And just connect in a really sweet way. I like that. I like that a lot.
And you can just know that most people are nervous in that situation. It's not just you, and you can, not like you're going to suppress your own emotions, but you can kind of decide, you know what, like, let me just have this go well. Let me, be lit up and bring up a fun conversation topic and set him at ease. I mean, there's a woman I'm working with. She's in her mid 50s and going on dates and things like that. She's divorced. And she said to me, like, she's like, oh, I went on this first date and this guy I met on this app, and like, he was so nervous and it was so awkward. And I was like, well, flirt with him a little, it's not like you're going to marry the guy or you're even committing to a second date, but why not set somebody at ease? Why not? And bring out the best in them. And of course they can do that for you also. But if you are the one you have control over, just let it out a little bit.
People forget that you're meeting another human being, and I talk to my women a lot about that. My clients, like, don't forget that they've been hurt too. They've been betrayed too. They have been criticized and are scared or shy or whatever it is. And they might be nervous. And again, show up as you, be you, and to be cognizant that they might be uncomfortable or they might need a little support. And it's not our job to fix them, but, you know, being a nice human being and being aware that somebody might feel a little awkward, that's another opportunity to shine our light to be able to ease and actually have a deeper connection. So I love that you brought that up. That's so huge. Absolutely. Yeah. So I mentioned also you start seeing somebody, and let's just say the first 3 months, the first 6 months, yay, swinging from the chandeliers, having a great time. And then you start getting into routine and people start to feel the fire going out. If they don't have necessarily the tools to keep the fire going, they forget to put the wood into the fire and suddenly it's in embers and they're like, what happened? So I'm curious, what might you offer to the soul sister around when you do meet somebody, how to keep those flames going and have that chemistry maintained?
It's very common. Almost everybody goes through it after the quote unquote honeymoon phase or that new relationship energy, whatever we want to call it. We all know it. And one thing that Erwan and I have done is we've put together a roadmap of relationship, the stages of relationship, and then the skills that have each stage succeed. I'll be more specific so it makes sense here. So you kind of want to know, I mean, it's a good position to be in, to be dating or in a new relationship with this awareness of, oh, you know, we've got novelty and newness and that initial thing, and the chemistry is there and it tends to go away. Most people are victimized by that and they think, okay, well, this isn't the right person, or I need to go outside the relationship, or I have to break up, or we just have to now settle into something that's kind of boring. And so we lay out all the stages and skills in our classes, but I'll just say a few parts of it now.
Yeah.
So in that initial stage, the dating, you know, the new and exciting stage, there are skills that help that thrive, such as, you know, flirting, having fun, knowing how to turn the person on. And a lot of that tends to come kind of naturally to people. And you want to be aware of those skills. So it's not like, ooh, this nebulous fun feeling, I don't know where it came from, and then it disappeared. But it's like, oh, okay, fun is the vibe here. Flirting, you know, knowing how to turn the person on and myself on. And you can carry those skills deliberately into that second stage. You know, the second stage of relationship tends to be marked by, you know, depth and vulnerability. And, you know, you're probably kind of gearing your lives together a little bit or a lot, depending on how much time has gone by, but you're kind of checking the person out. Like, ooh, I liked dating them. We're getting deeper. You know, would this be a good fit for me? So it's good to bring in honesty and communication and kind of designing your lives together a little bit more than you were before. But you don't want to forget the other stuff.
Yes. Stay awake, stay awake,
yes.
Stay awake.
Yes, you really want to. And that's a deliberate thing. And
yeah,
one of the skills in the kind of middle game of relationship, we call it best friends and lovers, you know, when you kind of get into that more deep place, is learning sexually about each other, you know, learning skills of giving and receiving and creating chemistry, because a lot of that comes naturally and automatically in the beginning, but you can deliberately keep cultivating it. So this is what we support people in, because that's like, I mean, most people that are in a relationship that come to us have some version of that issue.
Yeah. No, that's so well said. And what I'm getting from that is, you know, to really pay attention in the beginning of what is working and what is the fun part, and then the shifting, and to find that balance again, staying awake, staying aware. And you've talked about presence, and you mentioned meditation as another tool to support a relationship. I'd like for you to just talk like a minute about that. Like, how do you see presence and meditation supporting relationships?
Well, it's the most important thing. It really is. A lot of people come to our classes, of course, that have goals in enhancing their romantic lives and their sensual lives and everything. And the first step really is being present with yourself and who
Yeah.
you are, and having some kind of, we recommend a practice to do that. It doesn't have to be 2 hours in full lotus and some particular type of meditation, but just time regularly that you're stopping and you're feeling and
Yeah.
noticing what's there and who you are. That, I mean, presence is inherently attractive. My master's thesis in graduate school, I wrote it on what is the true source of attractiveness in a woman. Right? We all want to know that, right? I mean, we're fed a lot of messages about what that is, and beauty products, which I love, and all of that, and all that's fun. And what I found, I'll just give you what I found, which is presence is the true source of attractiveness, really. And then you add a deep connection to your own sensuality and being really in tune with your body and your sensual energy. Those two things, I don't care how old or young you are, how big or small, what you look like, whatever, those outweigh all of it.
I'm so glad I asked that question. Beautiful. Thank you. So I know that you have a free love life consultation that you would like to offer to the listeners. Would you share what that is? And we'll put the link in the show notes.
Absolutely. Yes. So for anybody listening who's like, ooh, I want to learn more about the work we do, or how it could impact your love life, your situation, I'm offering free love life consultations. And what that is a conversation between you and I on Zoom. It could be on the phone if you prefer. And we'll dive deep into whatever's going on with you, your goals, your challenges, what you want in a relationship, questions, whatever it is. And then if it looks like Erwan and I can support you, I'll lay out the different ways we work with people. All of our classes are online and can be done from anywhere. We have group classes, we have private coaching, all sorts of stuff, weekend intensives. And then, you can jump into one, and there's no obligation to do that. It's really just an exploration and fun. And I'm committed to you having a lot of value just from the conversation.
Beautiful.
And the way to set it up, there's 2 ways, whatever's easier. You can text our school. It will come to me. The number is 415-308-9580. It's 415-308-9580. Or I'll give you a link for the show notes, and you can just click it and fill out the form and just mention this podcast. And
Perfect.
Yeah.
And we'll put the phone number in the show notes too, because even as you were saying, I'm like, oh my God, the number, So they can rewind, but I can't. Anyway, we'll put it in the show notes. This was so wonderful. Alicia, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I really appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. All right, soul sister, you got some golden nuggets. You got a potential consultation. Check out our website. They have some amazing courses. Presence. Stay awake, stay aware, and remember that you have the power inside of you to influence this potential partner to create the relationship of your dreams. You can do this, soul sister. And remember, if you haven't liked and subscribed to either the audio podcast or the YouTube station, please do. This way you don't miss any of these great episodes, as well as letting the world know that there's some value here, because the more likes and subscriptions and things, as we know, the world goes, oh, people like this. So if you liked it, got some juicy nuggets, I'm going to encourage you to do that. And until we meet again, that's it for today's episode. And mwah.